Hey, shalom, love and blessings, Yahite family of Yah. Today, this is going to be a short one. This is going to be a short video regarding a video I'd seen just a little while ago. I didn't even see it. Came up on my feed, as it were, and I was like, man, I've got to correct this. I've got to set this thing straight. You see, the video is entitled, as you can see at the top, The Truth. It's time to talk about race. The most important video about racism you may ever see. Now, I literally took that title from, let me take you to it one moment. I took that title from here, Truth Unedited. And some of you might ask, why didn't you just message the guy, show him the error that he's made? Because this is actually quite a common error that he's made. But the thing is, I've actually messaged this brother before with an error that he made in his video a few years ago in a series, in one of his first or earliest series. Now, this is regarding this misnomer that Johann F. Blumenbach was the creator or the basically the first one to bring the idea of racial classification into the mix. And it absolutely wasn't. And the reason that's a huge error is because then it brings that classification into the era of the United States, when the states had become united. Now, we know about the origin of the slave trade being from 1619. And so when you actually do correct study, you will find out that it was still within the 1600s that the classification of race was not just presented as an idea or as a scientific construct, but it was actually became embedded within legal code, legal language, using white and black before the 1750s onwards. All right. And so I'm going to show you the first person we've got to look at, and the first person who actually dealt with this and created an actual, as you can say, created an actual classification, was a guy by the name of Francois Bernier. And he actually wrote a short paper called Nouvelle Division de la Terre. Excuse my French. All right, let me get this to highlight it for you. Nouvelle Division de la Terre par la différence espèces ou races qui l'habitent. Haven't done French in so many years. And in English, it means the new division of the earth by the different species or races. So there we see the word race, both in the French original and in the English translation. Okay, so what difference does this make? Okay, let's go to, let's see, I've got a, all right, so this was, in fact, the original paper that it was on. Let's open that image in a new tab. Right. So this was it. This is the original journal that it was actually written in. You see, Nouvelle Division de la Terre par la différence espèce horace d'homme qui l'habitante. Yeah. So this is it. This is what he wrote. And guess when it was written? In 1684. 1684. If you can see that right there. 1684. So that really, Johann F. Blumenbach was born literally over a generation after, in 1752. That's the time he was born. Okay. Now, this paper, as you've just seen, was written and presented in 1684. Okay. Written in French. I'm not going to go into it and go into the depth on what it was written, but I'm just presenting to you and showing you that it was actually an idea written before Johann Blumenbach, because there is an error, and I will put this forward to everybody. Put this forward to every Hebrew Israelite. Put this forward to every camp. Put this forward to everyone, because everybody seems to be using this guy, Johann F. Blumenbach, as the person who brought this idea forth. That's not the case. As look there, he actually puts it here, yeah, as the first to divide humanity on the basis of skin color. So I'm not misrepresenting this guy. I'm telling you the truth as it is. Truth unedited. Truth unedited. He's put the first to divide the humanity on the basis of skin color. That's an error, my brother. That's an error, and it has a lot of ramifications. A lot of ramifications, with regards to how we interpret scripture and how we see who is who. All right. It says Blumenbach did not create racism, 100%. So in 1795, he says that Johann Friedrich Blumenbach race classifications. Okay, this was his race classifications, but we have here Malayan, Ethiopian, American, Mongolian, Caucasian. All right. So I didn't go through the video, but I was like, man, yeah, I've refrained from picking out errors within this brother's videos and teaching, but this I have to deal with, okay, because he completely ignored the first error, which was in regards to the time of, this is a few years ago, which was in regards, I think it might be way back in 2016, or thereabouts, 2016, 17, something like that, which was regarding the time that the children of Israel were slaves in Egypt. So I'm not going to go into that now, but let's go into Francois Bernier and let's see what history says. Yeah. His 1684 publication, Nouvelle Division, etc., is considered the first published post-classical classification of humans into distinct races. Okay. There was a guy before him. He kind of not piggybacked, but he basically put everything into an easily understandable, digestible classification that everybody could understand. All right. So now, essay dividing humanity into races. In 1684, Bernier published a brief essay dividing humanity into what he called races. Distinguishing individuals and particularly women by skin color and a few other physical traits. At this time, you had the whole science of phrenology really starting to take off, etc., with the measurement and the typology of skull shape, etc. And the article was published anonymously in the journal Discavant, the earliest academic journal published in Europe, entitled New Division of the Earth by the different species or races of man that inhabit it. In the essay, he distinguished 4 different races, i.e. the first race included populations from Europe, North Africa, the Middle East, India, Southeast Asia, and the Americas. The second race consisted of the sub-Saharan Africans. The third race consisted of the East and Northeast Asians, and the fourth race were Sami people. The emphasis on different kinds of female beauty can be explained because the essay was the product of French salon culture. Bernier emphasized that his novel classification was based upon his personal experience as a traveler in different parts of the world. Bernier offered a distinction between essential genetic differences and accidental ones that depended upon environmental factors. He also suggested that the latter criterion might be relevant to distinguish subtypes. His biological classification of racial types never sought to go beyond physical traits, and he also accepted the role of climate and diet in explaining the degrees of human diversity. Now, I'm not going to go into this, etc., and even into what was actually written in there. But one of the things he said is that he came up with the fact that what he called black people. Here is what he says. I'll go to it. So I was about to just reel it off from memory, but it's actually got it here. It says, by virtue of being the first to propose a system of racial classification that extended to all of humanity. Okay, remember, by virtue of being the first. The first. Johann F. Blumenbach was not the first to divide humanity on the basis of skin color. That's why you guys got to really, you get these guys and they produce really nice looking videos, etc. But come on, man, we really are in the time. We really are in the time of itching ears, where people will take onto themselves teachers having itching ears. Yeah, you want truth. You want truth. You need truth, because even this, what it may seem a small error, okay, but you're talking a literal approximately 100-year difference, and that nearly 100-year difference makes a huge basis in regards to how we can see and understand the interpretation of scripture. So now he's saying here the first to divide humanity on the basis of skin color. I'm showing you that it's not. So who is the first to propose a system of racial classification that extended to all humanity? Francois Bernier. All right. So here we are. We're in this part. Okay. And literally around the same time in British Virginia. And you guys can go and check this out for yourself. And one of the things they've really, a few years ago when I looked at this, many years ago, you could find certain articles very easily, but they seem to have jumbled up a lot of the information. But you'll see that it was within the 1600s that the laws were passed regarding slaves and indentured servitude in British Virginia. Yeah, that makes a huge difference. Within British Virginia, they changed from naming people as Negroes, and they started to name people white and black. And forgive me if I'm wrong on this, because I'm just going from memory. I just wanted to deal with this, but it's around between 1684 and 1694, approximately, that you see the first law dealing with that has the term white in it and black. Okay, and the word black within a legal context, as they were bringing up these laws to deal with these indentured servants and the slaves that were increasingly coming from the slave trade, these acts of law were being produced every few years to deal with the situations that these colonial landowners were dealing with. And they then started to use the scriptures, the Bible, to justify slavery. Okay. But here, I'll end with this. By virtue of being the first to propose a system of racial classification that extended to all of humanity, Bernier's racial categories contributed to the genesis of scientific racism. The genesis of scientific racism. This is the beginning. Inherently, his classifications were based on physical and biological differences in human appearances, and thus sought to suggest a scientific basis for human racial variation. As previously mentioned, Bernier makes a distinction between physical variation due to environmental factors and racial factors. For instance, he classifies Indians that he is exposed to during his stint in the Mughal courts as part of the white race. He asserts that Indians, like Egyptians, have a skin color that is accidental, resulting from their exposure to sun. However, when it comes to categorizing Africans, this is key to note. He notes that blackness is an essential feature of theirs. Bernier evidences the fact that their color is not due to environmental factors by asserting that they will be black, even when living in colder climes. So the classification of black was already in place before Johann F. Blumenbach. End of story. That's all I really wanted to bring forth. I could go deeper on it, but this knocks on to a lot of scriptural interpretation. Yeah. And especially if you're like 100 years out. If you're close to like 100, it's actually over 100 years out. If you're over 100 years out on who the first to divide humanity on the basis of skin color, then there's a lot of errors that are going to be derived from that. But I've seen this put forward as this guy being the first to divide humanity on the basis of skin color. No, my brother, you're wrong. You're wrong. Okay. And it says Bernier's conception of biological or racial difference and variation due to climatic features is blurry, but contributed to the eventual development of theories of scientific racism. And this is to do with the science of phrenology. Yeah. Phrenology. Okay. So let me just phrenology. Let me get that for you. What I'll do is I'll just phrenology. So that you just show you some stuff. So phrenology is a pseudoscience which involves the measurement of bumps on the skull to predict mental traits. It's based on the concept that the brain is the organ of the mind and that certain brain areas have localized specific functions or modules. Okay. This literally, when you go, you'll see here. This is what it's doing with the scientific side. This is what it's really referring to. Okay. With their measurement of skulls, shapes, sizes, etc. This is what they called science, but it's a pseudoscience, so that's it. But I'm dealing with what the actual historical facts are and the legal framework of racial classification that was thrust upon the Judah or the true Jews, Yahudi, who came across from the slave trade. Okay. British Virginia, 1600s. Not this guy. This guy. All right. So just a correction, let's see if they have some sort of image of the guy. Here we are. This is him in his older years on the right. Okay, so not this guy, this guy. All right, let's get it straight. If we're going to try and teach and do all this type of, you're trying to be a teacher and all that, get it right. Get the things right. Yeah. In the same way, get it right regarding the length of time that the Israelites were slaves within Israel, within Egypt, sorry. Okay. It kind of knocks me. Let's get it right. Let's get it right. Anyway, I'm not going to go any more into it. Shalom, love and blessings. Yeah, nothing more to say.